Deep beneath the ocean's surface, where sunlight doesn't penetrate, creatures thrive in conditions that were once thought uninhabitable. From a sea creature's version of a human centipede to a glowing fish with razor-sharp fangs, these are 6 of the most fascinating deep-sea creatures alive today, starting with the giant isopod. First up, a creature straight out of your nightmares, an animal with 14 legs and no natural predators, the giant isopod, living at depths ranging from 500 to over 7,000 feet deep. This animal is an example of nearly perfect evolution. Incredibly, fossil records suggest that the giant isopod existed over 160 million years ago. They're older than dinosaurs such as the T-Rex, and even lived to see the breakup of the supercontinent Pangaea. When I got to work with these animals, I found out that this creature closely resembles a giant pill bug found in your own backyard, but can grow over 1.5 feet long, 25 times its little land counterparts. Giant isopods are one of the largest crustaceans and the largest known member of the isopod family, being closely related to shrimp and crabs. The isopod's armored body has 14 jointed legs, allowing it to scavenge the seafloor for food, eating all kinds of detritus and disgusting things like dead fish, crabs, squid, and even forage on whale carcasses. The first pair of legs, closest to its mouth, as you can see when I'm holding it, are modified to help move food to the isopod's 4 sets of razor-sharp jaws. Their mandibles are perfectly adapted for cutting and shredding food so that they can easily consume it. To swim, it uses a fan-like tail called a uropod and fluttering swimmerets called pleopods. So just try that fast quickly. We have an isopod that uses a uropod to swim with pleopods. Isopod, uropod, pleopod, isopod, uropod, pleopod. This is all part of the same animal, which is pretty insane. But anyway, these pleopods also help with the isopod's respiration, enabling gas exchange, which allows them to breathe. While navigating the sea floor, it senses its surroundings with its 2 large eyes and 2 sets of antennae for feeling. Now keep in mind, there is no light at the bottom of the deep ocean, so they have to be incredibly tactile, which is why those antennae are so important. Observers are both horrified and fascinated by its alien appearance and its ability to survive the crushing pressures of the deep. Personally, I think it's one of the coolest deep-sea creatures in the world. I love the fact that I can flip over a log in my own backyard and find a little tiny roly-poly and then go to a place like the Wonders of Wildlife Aquarium and get to hold this giant alien-like creature that is the deep-sea cousin of the roly-poly that has these razor-sharp mandibles, this insane anatomy, and quite frankly looks like it should come from outer space instead of the deep ocean. Another creature that has proven the test of time and survived multiple mass extinctions is the notorious goblin shark. The goblin shark is often referred to as a living fossil, being the sole existing representative of a 125-million-year-old shark lineage. This deep-sea shark is found at depths of more than 4,000 feet. Characterized by its distinctively long, flat snout and its ability to thrust its jaw forward at high speeds to capture prey, the goblin shark preys on deep-sea fish, cephalopods, and all kinds of crustaceans. This is such an unbelievably unique adaptation. It's called an accordion jaw, and the reason being, if you think of an accordion, the instrument, the way that it can extend and compress, that's what this shark does. It shoots its jaw out to actually send the teeth and the dislocated members of its mouth out to grab its prey and then suck it back in. I mean, it's unbelievable, and it's so cool that it is the one remaining relative of its own lineage. Anyway, this species typically grows to about 15 feet long, but there have been some outliers, with an enormous female that was once captured measuring almost 20 feet in length. And this animal was found in 2018 off the coast of Florida, of all places, which I think is insane. They always say you can find anything in Florida, but when I think of goblin sharks, I think of Japan, I think of the Arctic, I think of cold, crazy environments, but the fact that a 20-foot-long goblin shark was caught in Florida is wild. One thing that's really interesting about the goblin shark is that it has this odd pinkish-white appearance, which is different from all other shark species. You can't name another pink shark, and it has this weird coloration due to visible blood vessels beneath, get this, semi-transparent skin. That's right. So the shark isn't actually pink, it just has translucent skin, and the reason that you're seeing this pinkish color is because you're actually seeing the blood vessels and the blood move through a see-through shark. I mean, it's absolutely wild. Its small fins also suggest that it's not a strong swimmer compared to other sharks. Most sharks you think of being really strong swimmers, something like a mako, which is one of the fastest animals in the entire world. Big, muscular, fast, rapid-moving shark. Not the goblin shark. It's slow cruising, gliding shark that moves around very slowly looking for its next meal, which is very iconic of deep sea creatures. Everything's happens slowly. Some of them can live to be 400 years old, and they move slowly, they grow slowly, they feed slowly, except for that quick shoot out of the jaw. They just sort of do everything slowly to survive in such a sort of suspended animation state in the deep ocean. Reproduction in goblin sharks is shrouded in mystery. We really know nothing about it. We do know they are ovoviviparous, with eggs being stored and hatched inside of the female, and the young actually being born live. So ovoviviparity is one of the three methods of shark reproduction. There's viviparous, oviparous, and ovoviviparous. So ovovivipary is where they create an egg, but then the egg actually hatches within the mother's womb, and then a live shark is birthed, which is crazy. Imagine if you as a human laid a giant egg like that elephant bird egg in your stomach, except you didn't lay it. It just stood there until it cracked, and then the shark came out, or in this case, the human baby came out, and then you birthed that creature. It's a wild methodology. Speaking of being slow and weird things, these sharks live up to around 100 years, and at least that's what we think, given the information that we have on them, but really nothing is known about their ecology. We really don't know much about them. Regardless, they have this incredibly fierce-looking demeanor. They get up to 20 feet long. They have this crazy jaw. Yet, as you can imagine, there's never been any known predation on humans. There's never been any negative encounters, nothing like that, because this shark lives in the deep sea, and it really is just sort of the suspended animation giant alien animal that I think is truly one of the coolest creatures on the entire planet. Next on this list is an animal that performs its very own light show, one of the coolest creatures on the planet, if you ask me, living up to 5,000 feet below the surface, the bloody belly comb jelly. The comb jelly illuminates the ocean's dark voids with their specialized cells that produce photoproteins that actually generate bioluminescent displays of light. I mean, this is unbelievable. This animal has its own crazy system of chemical interactions that allow it to glow and create light in the deep sea. It's incredible. The comb jelly was first discovered in 1979 and lives up to 5,000 feet deep. It looks like a glowing red orb. The color's so intense it turns black in the abyss, camouflaging it from predators. So how would a glowing red orb be camouflaged, you ask? Well, as I mentioned, it's red, and the red wavelength of the light spectrum is actually unable to penetrate into deep ocean waters. It's one of the reasons my camera team and the guys I work with are constantly color balancing when we're shooting underwater, because you have to add red back in to see it the way a human eye sees, because red is immediately filtered out through the light as you go deeper and deeper, which is just a whole crazy different topic that we'll talk about another day. Comb jellies have been roaming the deep seas for over 700 million years, making it Earth's oldest animal. I actually read a study recently that was published in the Journal of Nature, where researchers concluded that comb jellies are a unique lineage or sibling group whose ancestors diverged before the common ancestor of all other animals. Well, what does that mean? That basically means that evolutionarily speaking, there is nothing less closely related to us as human beings than comb jellies. Anyway, growing to only 15 centimeters, so they're not very big, 6 inches, it is an extremely rare organism, only seen a handful of times by scientists using remote-controlled submersibles, ROVs, and never witnessed in person. Comb jellies, in general, have both male and female reproductive organs and can fertilize themselves, with each jelly releasing about 8,000 eggs per spawn. Little is known about this unique little deep-sea creature, but it has been observed navigating the depths with 8 rows of tiny comb-like plates that it beats to move itself through the water in a sort of jet-like propulsion. Although comb jellies look like jellyfish, they're quite different from them and move through the water by using their cilia rather than their tentacles like a regular jellyfish. As it swims, the comb rows break up and diffract light to produce the shimmering rainbow effect that you can see in the video here. Now, unlike species of jellyfish, this comb jelly doesn't use its tentacles to sting the prey. In fact, it doesn't even have stingers, which you'd think would make it completely useless. So instead of stinging stuff, it feeds by continuously pumping water into its own body cavity, trapping small prey like zooplankton with the sticky internal tentacles, which is an absolutely insane methodology that makes this one of the most alien organisms. Next up is a fish with razor-sharp fangs so big they can't even fit inside its own mouth. First discovered over 200 years ago by German scientists, the viperfish is a deep-sea fish species that has an absolutely terrifying look. During the day, they are usually found in these deeper waters, but come up just a couple hundred feet at night to feed during what is known as the world's largest migration, called the vertical migration, where when the sun sets, a whole bunch of organisms come up towards the surface, and as the sun rises, they all fall back down to the deep sea. Viperfish are carnivorous and have giant, clear, fang-like teeth that are so big they don't even fit in its own mouth. Like many other deep-sea creatures, the viperfish has light-producing organs called photophores, which they use to attract prey and even communicate with other potential viperfish mates or rivals to do sort of a peacocking display in the sense of bring it on or come mate with me, which is crazy for a fish. They use these same photophores to generate light and employ a sit-and-wait strategy to catch prey. So they're an ambush predator. They'll sit there and dangle this bioluminescent lure on the end of a modified fin that can arch forward in front of its mouth and attract prey to come in and look at what this little glowing worm is and then lunge out and grab it in the depths. So if you're in the deep and you're a prey species, all you would see is this little glowing worm-like thing and nothing else in the pitch black, and you come in to maybe nibble on that glowing worm thinking it's something that's fallen from the surface, and the viperfish lunge out with these giant fangs and actually trap the prey, the small fish or shrimp or crustaceans, in a cage-like set of teeth. And then they have this flexible jaw that can open wide enough to actually consume the prey that's up to half the size of the viperfish that are trapped in this cage-like mouth. I mean, it's utterly insane. When you think about the viperfish, I would say let's just be happy that these fish don't come up swimming close to the surface, because this is a fish that in my mind makes the piranha look like a goldfish. It's an insane animal in aesthetic, but despite their ferocious appearance, these fish are weakly muscled and too small to represent any sort of threat to humans, even if you were to be that one in a gazillion lucky person who happened to encounter one, which will likely never happen. Our deep seas are incredibly fascinating, and these animals that I'm mentioning could be the keys to understanding our oceans even further. If you want to contribute to protecting biodiversity, I'll tell you about an organization protecting oceans, animals, and even forests. At the end of this video, I'll introduce you to Planet Wild and how they're using drones to protect whales from extinction. But for now, let me tell you about a 20-foot-long creature that could be the most alien-looking thing I've ever seen, the bigfin squid. I mean, just look at this thing. If this isn't nightmare fuel for you, I really don't know what is. Also known as the magna pina, this squid is extremely rare, known to live at over 15,000 feet below the ocean's surface. First sighted only 20 years ago. That's right, a giant squid that was only found for the first time 20 years ago. There have only been a handful of sightings by scientists using ROVs, but no physical specimen has ever been found, leaving their exact identity totally unknown. Imagine being the first person to go out on the ocean and you see something floating and you find this incredible species. What a dream come true that would be. But what makes these creatures so unique compared to other squid species is that all 10 of their appendages dangle below its body, and we don't even know which is which. One of the most striking features of the bigfin squid is its elbow-like appearance of the tentacles, which bend at a right angle giving them this extremely eerie and unusual look compared to any other cephalopod. Exactly how they use these arms and tentacles is unknown, but we do know that these appendages are more than 20 feet long and have tiny suckers on them. Scientists think it's likely that they use them to trap prey that bump into them as they hang in the water below, or, even cooler, potentially drag along the deep sea floor. Currently, a lot is still to learn about this elusive squid. As access to the deep sea increases, there will certainly be more sightings of this animal, and we learn more about their unusual behavior and biology. And I hope that one day we actually get to see a live or maybe even dead specimen, because the fact that no human being has ever laid physical eyes on one is absolutely insane. And although this squid is big, it doesn't even come close to the next animal on the list. The giant siphonophore, coming in at lengths of up to 150 feet long, technically makes it the longest animal on Earth. Siphonophores in general are some of the coolest and most alien-like creatures to ever roam the Earth. We feature them in every single one of my Shark Week shows and dive shows when we see them, because with their glowing bioluminescence and dangling tentacles and crazy biological composition, they are truly one of a kind, with a lineage dating back over 640 million years. They're unbelievably weird, cool, selfie animals. Discovered in the mid-19th century, the giant siphonophore almost resembles a long string of jewels, with each segment contributing to the hunting and survival of the whole organism. What's so intriguing and unique about this animal is that it's not just a single organism, a giant, long, single floating organism, but it's a floating colony of specialized clones. Siphonophores are colonial organisms, meaning that they are composed of many genetically identical clones that function together as one giant single entity, which is insane. These clones reproduce asexually, meaning that new individuals can specialize in different colony functions, such as one doing feeding and one doing defense and one doing reproduction. And because they can just clone and copy each other and just make more and more, they grow to these crazy lengths, 150 foot long, and put out more and more sections of their body that are individual animals, making one truly massive organism. I mean, it's wild. And because of how they look, they often get confused for jellyfish, which they aren't. They're an own entirely different group of animals. These creatures inhabit deep ocean waters, typically found up to about 3,500 feet deep. However, they often drift up into shallower waters, often during the vertical migration, which is why my team and I have succeeded at filming them a number of times. If you do happen to see one washed up on a beach or even be in the water, don't touch it. It does pack a painful but rarely fatal sting to humans, and only in some of these organisms, which makes it even more confusing. Just leave it alone, because you'll either break it or injure it, or it'll sting you. So either way, it's not a good situation. Siphonophores are carnivorous and capture prey with these stinging cells, which is one of the reasons people mistake them for jellyfish, because it's very similar to the way that jellyfish capture their prey. But these guys use their long tentacle-like structures to ensnare fish and small crustaceans, usually paralyzing them before ingesting them in those long, translucent, tube-like bodies. And because they clone groups of their body and sections of it that specialize in different things, these animals could basically live on indefinitely, depending on, the environmental conditions and the threats and things like that. But it's one of the reasons that these siphonophores are such an incredibly unique and unusual animal. These were some of the craziest living deep-sea animals that still roam our oceans today. But did you know that the largest animal in history is still alive today and is currently on the brink of extinction? That's right, it's the blue whale, and Planet Wild is on a mission to protect them. If you're like me and don't want to wait around for others to take action, then Planet Wild is for you. With Planet Wild, you can do something now to help conserve biodiversity and protect species like the blue whale. Planet Wild is connecting people who want to contribute to environmental protection with projects that know how to protect nature efficiently. Becoming a member of Planet Wild starts at $6 a month, the same price as just a couple of coffees, and you can help contribute to saving our planet. Every month, you'll see a mini documentary what your contribution has achieved in protecting biodiversity in their latest mission. They're using drones to drop camera robots on whales to find out what a day in the life of a blue whale looks like. Now get this, the first 500 people will enjoy the first month of a Planet Wild membership on me. And hey, if you don't feel like supporting Planet Wild anymore, you can cancel at any time. No questions asked. Just use the code FOREST6 to sign up today. Let me know in the comments if you guys liked today's video, or if there's an animal that you would have liked to have seen me talk about, or any other videos like this that you just want me to make. Appreciate you guys watching. Make sure you like, subscribe, and comment so that you can be entered into the competition to win a trip with me this summer to go bow fishing in Illinois. Take care.